Hi everyone, my name is Cynthia and welcome to this YouTube channel. Today I'm going to be drawing a digital self-portrait and answering some personal questions about myself. And by the way, this is not a tutorial. Even though I've drawn a lot of self-portraits in the past, this is my first time drawing a self-portrait with my new art tablet that my boyfriend gave me. So there's going to be a little bit of a learning curve for me, and I don't want anyone to copy me thinking that this is the best way to do it. So anyways, let's get into the questions. The first question is, how and when did you get into art? So I've always loved art ever since I was a little kid. My parents were very supportive of my creativity, and they would always give me crayons and set up space at the table for me to do art projects. And I would love to draw Disney characters and little fairies, and I was obsessed with doing art projects for class. That was my favorite thing in the whole world. And a lot of my teachers thought that I was really talented at art, so I just kind of kept pursuing it ever since then. And it's kind of funny in hindsight because just because you are good at one subject and bad at another subject as a kid doesn't mean that you can't change. But I thought that that's what that meant, so I just kept doing art. And I did actually end up taking a break from art when I was a teenager, just because it started to seem really frivolous. I was like, oh, I have to do all this boring homework, all this math stuff, whatever. And art just seemed like a luxury and not really a necessity. But eventually I started feeling kind of sad and I needed something to cheer me up. So I started getting back into poetry and creative writing, and my friend actually came over and brought a bucket of paint to cheer me up, and we would just paint on canvases. And at that moment I decided, yeah, I really want to get back into art and maybe even do this as a career because it just makes me so happy and I don't think that I could live without it. So that is that question. The next question is, did you go to art school? Kind of. I didn't go to a traditional art school, but I went to a university at University of Santa Cruz, or University of California, Santa Cruz, and I majored in art. I actually originally was studying psychology, but I took some art classes and I just fell in love with it again, and so I dropped the psychology major and switched back to art. Oh, and I also did a minor in literature. Okay, so next question is, which mediums do you still feel like are too difficult for you? So I would say anything involving music is not my thing. I wish it was, and I probably could learn how to make music if I really pushed myself, but I just feel like I don't enjoy it as much as visual art, and I always end up feeling super frustrated and annoyed and irritated. So, visual art is also hard and it also comes with its own challenges, but for some reason it feels a little bit more natural to me. I don't know if anyone else can relate. I would also say that animation still feels too difficult for me, just because I'm still trying to master the art of two-dimensional digital art. And it's not that I'm not good enough to do it yet, but I don't know, I just want to become the best of the best at the two-dimensional before I move on to the three-dimensional, or four-dimensional or whatever. So yeah, I'm just kind of doing it in a progression that makes sense to me, but I do really want to get into animation in the future. I have done it a little bit here and there, but I want to like get into it in the future. The next question is, what mediums do you feel like you're best at? So when I was in college, I majored in art and my concentration was painting. So I would say painting, especially acrylic painting, is what I'm best at. I also like drawing with pencil, charcoal, pens, color pencils, literally anything. I really like drawing. I'm pretty good at graphic design. That's basically my main focus right now is graphic design because I'm pretty good, but I want to be the best of the best. And I also think I'm really talented at creative writing, although I haven't been really doing much of that lately. It's kind of a hobby that I go in and out of depending on how emotional I'm feeling at that stage of my life. And I'm honestly not feeling that emotional right now, so I don't really know what to write about. Okay, the next question is, what do you like about hyper-realistic art? So, if you didn't know, when I was doing painting in college, I focused on hyper-realistic landscape paintings, and I talked about this in my artist statement for my, what's it called? My final open studio. And basically, the thing I love about hyper-realistic art is it improves my ability to really see the world clearly, because when you're just looking at something just to look at it, you tend to miss a lot of the details and you tend to not really look at it accurately. So, for example, maybe you could close your eyes and imagine a flower. You might imagine it one way, but then when you actually go and look closely at it in real life, it looks a little bit different than what you imagined because there are shadows and highlights and details and angles and proportions that our brain tends to mix up. So I feel like hyper-realistic painting, it really allows you to observe something as closely as you possibly can and study that thing and really appreciate the depth of beauty of that thing. And you can kind of test how accurately you're seeing something by comparing your painting to the original thing and making sure that those things look the same. So yeah, that was a long answer, but that's what I like about hyper-realistic art. Even though I haven't really been doing much of it lately, I'll probably get back into it soon. The next question is, why did you decide to start a YouTube channel? And I decided to start a YouTube channel because I felt like there were multiple benefits that could potentially come from starting a YouTube channel. Because in the past, I would think, oh, there's this benefit here, this benefit here, but it just wasn't enough to really motivate me, you know? Like, originally, I wanted to start a YouTube channel in hopes that I would blow up and make money off of my YouTube channel. And I thought, I don't know, that's not really realistic. It might not happen. But at this point in my life, I'm like, okay, that could happen, or I could start a business and use my YouTube channel as marketing, or I could use this as collateral to get me a really steady 9-to-5 graphic design job, or a video editing job, or marketing for freelance gigs, you know. So there are just so many reasons why I should start a YouTube channel that I feel like I can't not start it. Also, I feel like it's really helping me improve my skills as a video editor because that is another thing that I do love alongside graphic design. The next question is, what advice would you give someone who wants to get into art as a hobby? I would say experiment with a lot of different art mediums because I know when I was first getting into art, my friend would give me some watercolor paints and I would totally fail at it and think, oh my god, I suck at art, blah, 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 blah. Not realizing that I actually had a secret hidden talent for acrylic paint. And when my friend brought over some acrylic paint, I did really well at it. And I mean, you're not going to be amazing the first time you try something, but you will notice a little bit of potential. Or you don't even have to think about your talent, but just think about what mediums feel the most enjoyable to you. And I would say while you're in this experimental stage, try not to invest too much money up front because a lot of people will think, oh, I just want to have the best of the best art supplies. And then a few months later, they realize, oh, I'm not actually as passionate about this thing as I thought I would be. And then they end up giving a lot of their art supplies away. Like, I thought I would absolutely love oil painting since I love acrylics so much. But once I actually tried oil painting, I just didn't like it. And I'm probably going to give away my oil paints if they are not expired. The next question is, how have you changed as an artist over time? I would say when I was first starting out, I was pretty narrow in my approach to art. I only really wanted to paint the same things over and over again, in the same style over and over again. I only had a couple of artists that I took inspiration from. But as I went through college, I became exposed to so many more ways of doing things and so many prompts that really stretched me in different directions. And I would say that that was the best part of going to college. And I used to be really into landscape paintings because that was just the first thing that came to mind when I was thinking of things that I could paint. But now I try to be a little bit more experimental and creative and think outside the box. And another thing that's changed about me is I don't shy away from the digital art. I used to think digital art was not real art, which is such an embarrassing take because digital art is so much harder than drawing and painting. And yeah, I wish I had a greater appreciation for it earlier in life, but yeah, I'm much more focused on Adobe, Illustrator, Creative Cloud, all of those apps, and I've kind of let painting fall to the wayside a little bit. I do want to get back into painting eventually, but I'm just really focused on the digital stuff right now. The next question is, where do you find inspiration for your art? So back when I was mostly doing landscape paintings, I would obviously be inspired by the landscape around me because I was living in Santa Cruz at the time, and Santa Cruz has the most beautiful foresty trees and mountains and beaches. And it is such a great place to live if you want to be a landscape painter. I highly recommend it. And once I started branching out and doing other things, I started taking my own pictures. And I'm not the best photographer, but I feel like getting into photography really improved my drawing and painting skills because I was able to finally rely on my own reference images instead of copying things from the internet. But now I haven't been taking as many pictures because I haven't had as much time and I haven't been going out as much. So I mostly like to take inspiration from Pinterest, and I never copy anything, but I just look at the things that I like about the images, and then I try to incorporate those things that I like into my own graphic design process. And I feel like that's easier for graphic design than like digital illustration or drawing or whatever. The next question is, how did you find a good community as an artist? And I would say college made that very, very easy. Although I haven't really been in touch with the people that I met from college, they were a really great source of community at the time, and I really appreciate all the memories and all the information that they gave me. And it was just such a nice time in my life. And, if you're able to experience that, don't take it for granted. Really appreciate those relationships and nurture them and see if you can make them last beyond college, because it is a little bit harder to find an art community after you graduate. But nonetheless, it is possible. So you can find a lot of artists online who are interested in the same things that you are. Places like Reddit or Instagram or Twitter, whatever social media that you like, you can definitely find people who want to talk about the same artistic things that you want to talk about. And the primary way that I find community as an artist is simply by going through my friends and asking them who would want to collaborate on which projects with me. And I feel like that makes it so much more fulfilling rather than just talking about art, is actually doing art together, and not just doing your own separate things, but trying to build your creative ideas together. The next question is, what are your hobbies outside of art? To be honest, I don't have a lot of hobbies outside of art right now because I'm very focused on my career as a graphic designer and video editor, and I don't want to get distracted by trying to write a book or do a painting series. I feel like if I start doing that, then I'm gonna start questioning, should I be trying to monetize this book, or should I try to sell these paintings? And I really just want to focus on the things that I already planned to do, like build a better graphic design portfolio, build a YouTube channel, stuff like that. But I do have a few hobbies right now, so I really, really love journaling. That's something I'm extremely passionate about. I also like spending time in nature, so hiking, camping, or if I don't have time for those things, then I just like sitting in my backyard and laying in the sun. And I like hanging out with my friends, just doing whatever, going out to eat, stuff like that. And I love watching TV. Love it, love it, love it. The next question is, what career would you pursue if you weren't interested in art? And before I was an art major, I was a psychology major, and it was my intention to do that and eventually become a therapist. I really love helping people. I love giving people emotional support. And, I've been through my own mental health stuff, so I feel like I have a lot of experience and insight because of that. And yeah, I just love people and I love talking to people, so I think it would have been a really nice career for me, but I just love art so much, and the thought of not pursuing a career in art, it makes my heart hurt. So I just have to do what I have to do. And people always ask me, like, oh, can't you just do art as a hobby on the side? But I honestly feel like work takes up so much time that I just have to do art as a career. That was all the questions, and this is the final product for my self-portrait. It's not my best work, but it's pretty good, and I hope you like it. And if you have any more questions, just leave them in the comments below, and I'll consider making a part 2. Okay, bye!